welcome to this Money Monday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. Welcome back from a long weekend celebrating America on 4th of July. I am sure you are hungry for your liquid lunch today, as I am too. I'm well rested. My batteries are recharged, and we are going to bring it to you this week. We got money. We got patriotism. We got stocks. We had it all for you today, especially women's soccer. And before we get started, we'll come to you live every day, Monday to Friday, from noon to 1 Eastern, from the Question Tequila Studios. We're not high atop the financial district of the world, but we are in Midtown Manhattan and downtown at Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down about 100 points, triple digits down, recovering from about 150 down a little earlier this morning. This market is still holding that 26.7, 26.800 range. I'm looking for a close this week above 27,000. There should be some comments this week coming out of the Federal Reserve on if they will or won't lower rates at the end of June. Great at the end of July. Great jobs numbers on Friday while we were all recovering from 4th of July celebrations. Over 224,000 jobs created. That should spur on the market a little more this week. And Bitcoin traded to 13,000 a couple of weeks ago. Pulled back under 10 for a minute or so there, but it has stabilized, trading at about 12,000. All the Bitcoin, crypto, and ABBC token news you want and more coming up later in the show. But on Money Monday, we bring in the money man himself, as usual. Joining me today, my co-host and managing editor of Liquid Lunch TV, Frank Morano. And special guest today. We talked about last week how the Colin Kaepernick is now the CEO of Nike because he didn't like the Betsy Ross sneakers, so Nike pulled him back. And one man took it upon himself, internationally acclaimed creative artist and activist Scott LoBaido, took his skills from the Liquid Lunch Studios, where he's painted murals and photos for us and created our set for our new studio. But he took his flag painting, Scotty, right to Nike headquarters in New York City and painted the Betsy Ross flag.
Oh, yeah.
So Scotty's got a lot of passionate things. He set up shop on the 4th of July and painted the Betsy Ross flag right in front of Nike to protest Colin Kaepernick's protest. And protesting, indeed, were some members of the women's soccer team, who, congratulations, the U.S. women took the World Cup. And, Frankie, that and more is covered in today's Frankly Speaking.
Ron, better be careful, because you enriched for one reason.
I'm happy that the women's soccer team won. I love to see America win. I'm an American. I root for America. And it's great for the world to see America be #1 in something other than prison population, drug overdose deaths, and arms sales. I'm happy they won. But I have to tell you, I found this to be an incredibly difficult team to root for. It all began with that game they played against Thailand. Now, we all know this is the best female soccer team in the world, rated #1, and they're matched up against little old Thailand. First time ever playing in a World Cup. They're thrilled just to be there. I mean, basically, it would be like me going up in a boxing ring against Floyd Mayweather Jr. And yet, look at how they acted when they're running up the score. You'd think at 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, they'd start showing a little sportsmanship. But look at, they're behaving as if it's Larry Burkhead finding out he's the father of Anna Nicole Smith's baby. Look at this celebration after the 12th and 13th goal. The degree of poor sportsmanship that they exhibited during that game was abysmal, and a poor message to youth coaches everywhere, and anathema to what soccer players have been taught by their coaches and their parents for years. But it gets worse. Megan Rapinoe, the co-captain of this team, was asked about a visit to the White House, and this is what this co-captain, selected by her peers, said.
Are you excited about going to the White House?
I'm not going to the White House. No.
Now, she could have just politely declined an invitation to the White House, and if people asked about it, said, you know what, I'm not a big supporter of this president, and no one would have judged her for it. But instead, she not only had to go out of her way to make this a big deal, curse at the White House and the president. Now, I understand why people don't like the president. I get that he does a lot of things that rub people the wrong way. But by disrespecting the leader of America that way, the person we elected, it's a slap in the face to the whole country and the office. And it gets worse. We used to do a show called What's the Deal? We called it the show that didn't kneel because it began out of the outrage of people kneeling during national anthem. Megan Rapinoe is one of these kneelers. Now, if she was the only bad apple on this team, you'd think that was enough. Take a look at how Alex Morgan celebrated after they were playing our friends in England. This is what happened, and this is how she celebrated after a goal. So what she's doing there is mimicking drinking tea. She's mimicking drinking tea because she scored a goal against England. What would she do if they played China? Would she start taking out chopsticks and act like she was eating noodles? This is a joke. It's such poor sportsmanship, and then it gets worse. It gets worse. After this game against the Netherlands, the players are all celebrating, and look at how they behaved. So heaven forbid anything should interrupt their dancing. They're dancing as if they're auditioning for Soul Train, and they throw the American flag right on the ground. The height of disrespect for America and the whole country that was rooting for this team. And yet they're going to have a big parade down the Canyon of Heroes on Wednesday. Well, there's one champion that actually deserves a parade down the Canyon of Heroes, a real American champion who's been almost totally ignored, and that's Joey Chestnut, who won the 12th title in the hot dog eating contest. Now, lest you think I'm sexist and don't want to celebrate female champions, I'm all for celebrating another American champion, the winner of the female contest, Mickey Sudo. Well, I hope that Mickey Sudo and Joey Chestnut, who have exercised a degree of humility and patriotism that far too many members of this soccer team don't seem to possess, finally one day get their just desserts. But until then, John, I'm happy they won, but I'm far from enthusiastic about it.
Frank, what I really want you to try to do going forward in the show is tell us how you really feel. I think you're holding back a little bit, but no. Hey, listen, I want to root for the women. I do root for anything America. We do that on this show all the time. I don't want to let one person overshadow it. Throwing the flag on the ground is something we all know you don't do. And one person who carries that flag all the time, puts it on a pedestal, is Scott LoBaido. And that's why we got him here today. Scott, you were down in front of Nike the other day. You've been around the country, around the world. Tell us what's happening with Betsy and Nike and Colin Kaepernick.
I cannot emphasize, I've been saying this for 20 years, okay, about this flag and these protests. You all know me. How many times have I protested? How many times have I been arrested? Pro-American protest. Now, when I protest, I take my grievances that we all have. I respect this captain of this team, bringing up, the women's equal pay in the sport and whatnot, equality and that. Yes, amen, amen. But here's the thing, and I'm so glad you got me on because I need to word it properly. The flag, okay, you're using and disrespecting the flag, okay, is hurting and affecting only one group of people. And that is our veterans, the men and women who sacrifice and lose their limbs. Okay, I spent the weekend before with a World War II veteran, 94 years old, Teddy, and he was crying to me because he knows he's going to die thinking that that flag is not going to fly much longer. And I promised him that it will for the next 20,000 years. So my point is, okay, let me top his passion here because I'm trying. He's the most passionate man right now. It's not about, don't use the flag. Okay? You're not getting your point across. That flag gives you the right to progress. Okay? We're not perfect. That's what I keep saying for 20 years. That's what makes us great, is that we're not perfect. And we strive. The gay community, we move up. The black community, we move up. If I was on a bus in 1960 and Rosa Parks got sent to the back of the bus, I would have got my butt whooped. Okay, because I would have fought for her to sit on that front of that bus. And all of a sudden, one more thing, I'm sorry. Notice, okay, none of this happened. None of it. None of these statues and Confederate sculptures coming down. None of this. The George Washington mural that they want to cover up in California. It never happened before 2016. Right post-election Donald Trump, this all happened because you people are sick of yourselves that you lost. And this is what you're doing. You're trying to tear down everything American because that's the base. And we're not, it's not going to happen. Trust me. And I'll be in front of Nike longer.
Scotty, the Betsy Ross flag you're painting there, you set up on the 4th of July. You had your little speaker there, and you're playing the national anthem all day long. You're demonstrating your pride in America. You're demonstrating your creativity, and that flag is what America was formed under. And the people that you're talking to, veterans, I know you do a lot with veteran suicide. You guys came out with a T-shirt now. That
appropriate. There it is, right there.
And
it's got the Nike saying, but I changed the font a little bit because they sue.
Maybe Nike should think about just doing it and getting rid of Colin Kaepernick, who, by the way, was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL for most of his career. No one can understand why a major brand like Nike would take a guy who wears pigs in police uniforms on his socks and kneels for the national anthem. And make him their spokesman. It's a commercial decision. Me, I'm not buying Nike anymore at all. I'm replacing all my Nikes with either Adidas or Under Armour. I'm living the three-stripe life now. We got the New Balance also out there.
No, it's not. That's my design for New Balance.
Oh,
let's go.
that's
Somebody out New Balance.
Special.
You want to sell 1 million sneakers tomorrow?
Bicentennial New Balance. I like them a lot. I'm getting a pair if you can make one for me. And Frankie, I don't know. We got anything to go coming up. It seems like the intolerance on the left continues.
Well, I don't think any political movement has a monopoly on people that are intolerant or even violent. But I think, and Scott, I think you'd have a unique perspective, and maybe you want to stick around when we talk to Andy. But I think what we saw from this journalist that you're about to hear from, as he was trying to cover this Antifa protest, it's unlike anything that we've seen on the other side. It's really, really reprehensible.
We're gonna keep Scotty with us if you don't mind staying, and we're gonna bring in Andy Nago, who's a conservative journalist. He goes and covers these Antifa protests and marches, and not only was he attacked, beaten, punched, got a brain hemorrhage. No one's even looking into it. We're gonna look into it right after this. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. You stay right there. We'll be back right after this.